Hey folks, welcome back to another live stream at Global Hack Week. I hope you folks are having an amazing time. I can see a lot of okay, pizza. Okay, I need to get a backstory on this, like why people are spamming pizza. I can get a good sound with blue squad, yellow squad, and red squad. I guess this is what we usually follow. But I really want to welcome all the folks to this amazing stream. I hope you have been having a very amazing time at Global Hack Week, and I'll make sure that this stream will actually excite that moment. So to start with, hey Yash, welcome to the stream. Hey Gautam. Okay, now I got a pizza comment. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Okay, just a second. I'm just adjusting the light. Okay. I guess that will be better. Okay. Moving ahead, then we have Hey Rahul, Hey Hellbringer. I hope the name is correct. Okay, I am also a part of Blue Gang. If someone don't know, but yep, I'm a part of Blue Squad. Okay. Hey Gautam, welcome to the stream. Hey Ezrelia. No. Hey Ezreela. I'm so sorry if the name is if the name goes wrong, but welcome to the stream. People hate some pizza. Okay, I need to get this backstory if someone can tell. Hey Yash, welcome to the stream. Hey Heather, welcome to the stream. Okay, are you supplying pizza to my home? Okay, Peter is the pizza. Peter the pizza is the new Python Pros mascot. Oh, I guess that's a very good way to actually let this up in the stream. But yep, good concept though. Hey Rohit, welcome to the stream. I can see lots of highs. Yep, go blue. Hey Dextro, welcome to the stream. Hey, I am Snoz, welcome to the stream. Hey Melvo, Melav Gupta. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Welcome to the stream. Okay, a lot of highs there in the chat, but I guess this is the first, like my first stream at API Week. Global Hack Week has been always been an amazing thing, like to me, and connecting with amazing folks like you, trying to bring up new sessions. And this time we will be like I am back with another stream that is your first API documentation. To start with, like how many of you have ever heard of the term API or API documentation? You can just let me know in the chat before we go into tons of technical like technical conversation. If you have ever heard of an API, if you have used API in your projects, so I can let you know. Okay, people know about APIs. Okay, you have made one. That's a very good thing. I guess I also remember making my own API back using Python and also other resources available on the internet. I guess even Ryan took in stream today, but I need to check. APIs, all Pythons are interesting. Yash is not leaving a second promoting his guild. Yep. Yes, Yes, I used a movie API and a weather API for a JS project. So, like my first interaction with API was to make a crypto project. So, what it was, I used an API from CoinGecko, and what I did is I make an website or around all the Web3 cryptocurrencies, and it used to give a live cryptocurrency update 24/7, last 24-hour update, including in subdivisions, last 24 hour, last 3 days, last 7 days, last 365 days update using that API. So yeah, that was my first interaction, and I like just Melov Gupta said, if you want to let me know what was your first interaction with an API before we actually go on. But yeah, that was a very amazing project because that was the first time I was making a project solely. Like I had no friends because everyone was doing another part of internship during that point of time, and I made something. I wanted to like get my hands dirty with API, and at that particular point of time I get to know more about API documentation. Okay, and did take a stream. I'm featured on API project. I will never. Okay, okay. Yeah, I will also cover this. But yep, this stream will be all about the APIs you have made. We are going to document them, what are the tools available on the internet, and a lot of things. So to start with, okay, just to like make it clear, if you folks haven't checked in till now, so make sure you go and check in. I have shared the link in the chat. Just a second, folks. Okay, that looks good. Make sure you go and check in, and I'll share my screen. Just a second. Okay, present, share screen. Okay, good to go. Hmm. Okay, so I'll just add this to the stream. So this stream will be all about your first API documentation. I also want to add one more page that is because I want to really show you a real life example of all around a lot of things. Okay, just a second, folks. Just letting. Okay, good. Okay, folks. So this stream will be all about your first API documentation. If you think what's that, but before we move on, I'll just let you folks know about me. Hey, folks, I'm Vinayak. I'm a coach at. Okay, I'm a coach at MLH. That should be corrected at every cost. And I'm an organizer at Open Hacks. Apart from that, you can catch me tweet about a lot of things, including APIs and other stuff at IG underscore ROX. So make sure you get connected over Twitter. But to start with, why are we here and what are we going to do? So we are going to talk about, especially to start with, what is an API. I know a lot of folks might be getting like know the example, but I want to start. Hey, I hope the name is correct. Hey, folks. No, I'm coaching at Major League hacking, not machine learning. I know that should be corrected. But to start with, what's an API? I'm not going to stick to I'm not going to stick to the definition. I'm just going to give an example. I guess almost all of us who are present in the stream might have ordered food from. Yep, I hope things will be good after this. Okay, I am just going to share a check-in link once again. Uh, okay, this should be good to go. So this is the check-in link I have shared in the chat. Okay. So what's an API? To start with, application programming interfaces allow services to communicate with each other. But we're going to just stick to an example. The example is, I hope you folks have like ordered food from an food ordering website a tons of time. Like when you talk about me, I usually order food in every 4 to 5 days from outside. And you might have noticed something whenever you order food, it takes you to a page where you actually able to see from where your food is going to come to you. Basically, a map is established there. So for example, a company name XYZ, you're ordering food from. Yeah, for example, you're ordering a pizza. You're ordering a pizza, and you have ordered pizza from your favorite outlet from a food ordering website. Now the next step is, you want to see what is the amount of time that will be taken from that particular food court to your home, right? So basically, all those companies food ordering website usually have a map integrated at their system, so that you can actually track down what you have done, like you have placed an ad of what will be the amount of time that will take from the food court to your home. Apart from that, what will be the route taken by the food delivery partner who is delivering your food. So you might think not every company is going to establish a satellite in the sky, right? Because that will be taking a huge amount of money for every other food ordering website. So what they do, I guess you already have answered in the chat. They use the Google Maps API. Thanks, Adi Adi's Twitch account. They use the Google Maps API. So what Google Maps API does is they actually help to give services to those food ordering websites. And once that is done, you can clearly see that you will be able to actually locate all the different things, such as that from where the food is coming, which will be the path will be taken by like the delivery guy. And why it is important? Because it gives a clear interface to the person who has ordered, and he will be clear in his mind that what is actually happening, which what will be the time that will be taken by the food ordering website. And if I tell you about, I guess a lot of folks might already know about this. API works on request response model. So, for example, you have placed an order. Now, it's the responsibility of the Zomato system to send a request to the Google Maps API that from here to here a proper a map setting should be done. So once that is done, a response will be a request will be made and response will be given back from the Google Map API. And once that is done, you will be able to locate on how in what particular point of time your order will be here, what will be the path which will be taken by the food delivery partner to actually go through this. So thanks, Adi. Yep, you will be using the Google Maps API. I was able to check any food ordering website, but that's okay. So to move ahead, what are we doing today? So okay, I guess a good definition: API is basically like an expose point to access information from a server. So accessing information about location and maps from Google Maps using an API, absolutely correct. To be honest, I learned myself how to set, I hope it set API using documentation, but that time I didn't know OTMLH. Okay, thanks, Melov Gupta. I hope this stream will be super good. So, to talk about what we will be doing today, we will be understanding API documentation, like what actually goes into API documentation, what you need to keep in that. Apart from that, what are the best practices that should be there in the API documentations? Let me tell you, folks, thousands of APIs are made every day, but not a proper documentation is done. So, for example, if I made an API of MLH, all the people who are in part of MLH and someone want to use that API, and if I haven't done a proper, you can say proper API documentation of the API I have made, there are high chances people will not be able to integrate in it their system, or it can be a case that okay, people need to think about it, what I need to do, what will be the best ways. Apart from that, thanks Yash. Th- Moving ahead, then we have common API documentation challenges. Whenever you will be doing API documentation, there will be a high case that you will be facing certain challenges which a lot of people face, and which even I have faced when I did my first API documentation. Then we have certain API documentation tools which are available. We are going to talk about them. There are five or six which are used majorly with their pros and cons, and there is a special challenge for you at the end. That will be a simple challenge. You might use even Notepad to complete that challenge, but it's more about how you know about more and more API documentation. So to move ahead, what's an API? I've already talked about. The first thing and the most important thing is why you need to make an API documentation. You can list down your importance, but API documentation is important because it provides a detailed information about the functionality of an API. So, for example, there is a software developer company and they wants to know more and more about the hacker community, right? This amazing hacker community. For example, currently like 56 folks are here in the stream. So I made a API key of this 56 folks of their interest about software. Some will be interested in the Web3 department, some will be interested in the Web2 department, and I made an API. But if I haven't cleared that, what are the divisions? I have took data of the people who are available in the stream and I have made this API. It will actually make difficult for the like the software company to analyze or use this data for themselves. So for example, if they want to show this data or let other people use this data using an API, that will be something like more like difficult to understand for the developer to use this API. And let me tell you, in the previous time, a lot of APIs were used to made, but due to not proper ordering of, you can say, uh, sorry for the delay, proper API documentation, there might be certain cases that people who have failed to use the API documentation. To give you another example, you might have visited an e-commerce website and you have seen a tons of times there is a payment integration gateway. And in India, there are tons of payment. There are Razorpay, then it is Paytm. We'll also dig into Paytm more. Their developer API documentation, what I have seen, which I actually like about Paytm. So yep, there is a big reason that why you need to make an API, because one more major thing which should be there in an API documentation is the errors, right? So whenever we code, we see tons of like errors happening in our systems. when I first used an API, I didn't have an idea about the API key, right? So like the API security key, the API key which is generated, and I just used the key which was available given by the system to me, and I was able to see tons of errors happening. So this all things should be mentioned in API documentation, so that so if someone is using your APIs, they should be able to know that okay, if they did something around this error will be there, and what will be the ways they should use your API, and what is the functionality of your API. So to move ahead, we are starting with API documentation and its component. So I'm also going to open another page. Okay. So I'm going to share a live example with these slides. These slides can be boring and me talking again and again. So it's very important so that you can understand with a real life example of what we are going to talk. So first is getting started guides. Simple. When you open in documentation, so I'm going to share my very favorite developer documentation. If you can clearly see, this is a Paytm developer documentation, API documentation, and you ask why. The reason is you see an e-commerce website, you see a movie ticketing server, you see any other place which uses areas where you need to take money from the users. A lot of people use APIs which are given by Paytm. So when we saw our first slide, that is getting started guides, you can clearly see getting started on the left hand corner clearly, and start building with Paytm. So to start with, it has given very simple instructions. I hope that I just need to get a clarification whether my screen is visible, like you're able to see components, because I can see a bit of uh, anyone in the chat can just let me know that if you're able to see the Paytm screen. Okay. Okay, I need to zoom in a bit, just give me a second. Okay, this doesn't work for sure. Okay, does this work? Someone said, can you I hope this should be good. For someone who said that, can you zoom a bit? Rahul, is this correct? Like, is this works for you? I hope this should be better than the previous version. And if you want a full screen, I'm ready to remove myself from the screen too. But it would be better that I would be on screen, so that okay, this is better. Okay, in this case I am removed, but I don't want to get removed. Okay, all good, all good. I can see a lot of. Okay, so we saw the first slide, that was getting started guides. So these guides are actually aimed to helping developers getting started using your API, and typically include information that how to sign up, how to get API keys, how to make a basic API request. So you can clearly see here when we click start building with Paytm. So it has given a simple interface about itself, that Paytm payment gateway provides a secure PCI compliant way to accept debit credit card and all the other ways you can actually make a payment system. Apart from that, what you need to do, you need to create an account, you need to generate your staging account credentials from dashboard, and you need to activate your account. So here you can clearly see Paytm has given a very simple getting started guide, that you need to create an account, you need to have a merchant account, so that you can use API key from their server. And you can clearly see uh, it it clearly says that Paytm dashboard will be available to manage your account once you actually integrate it, and it is also given a detailed payment flow. Now, a very important thing, if you are using your API and you want more and more folks to use about it, like use it when there is a proper competition in the market, because it's not only Paytm who is using their API. There are certain other companies such as Razorpay and all the other folks which are present, and which actually has a proper competition, and they want that their API should be used. Here Paytm has clearly said their detailed payment flow. You can see transaction creation, successful transaction, failed transactions. They are clear, they have actually stated all the terminologies. We will also go through the slides, but you can clearly see if there is a failed transaction, what is the proper definition for that, so that if certain problem occurs, people will be actually able to know, okay, if this has been done, this is the reason, right? All the things have been made clear here. I know that these terms are very easy to understand, that successful transaction, failed transaction, but for the person who is jumped for the first time in the API industry might not be aware about these terms, this is a very perfect way to start with. This is the reason that I actually love Paytm developer documentation, because it's pretty much clear. Another thing which actually is very simple here: fundamentals of collecting payments with Paytm. All the things are available. They have made sure that you can see real time summary and the other things on the dashboard. And a very important line which I actually want all of you folks to actually look at it: as recommended security measure, your validate each transaction response via server to server API call, transaction revalidation projects from request response tampering browser in calls. This S2S calls is not required for Paytm plugins and hosted e-commerce website integration solutions. So this thing was yeah, you can see about that looking like a DBMS transaction state, like active partial committed like accurately not this, but yep, somewhere around this you can say that. So yep, okay, to move ahead, the getting started, the next thing is the reference documentation. I can just click here, so we can. So the next thing is reference documentation. Now it's let's get back to the Paytm once again. So this is a basic JavaScript checkout introduction, like if you're using. So what is a reference documentation actually? So this type of documentation actually provides a detailed information of API endpoints, request and response parameters, and any error codes that may be encountered. Okay. So as I've stated earlier in the stream, there are certain things which actually need to be clearly mentioned in your like in your API documentation, and the most important thing is request endpoints, the error messages. Like there will be certain times a common error will be actually circulated using your API. And if you can, like, if you know this concept about Stack Overflow, I guess a lot of individuals do use Stack Overflow for their day-to-day purposes. Early in the earlier times, Stack Overflow was used to focus on. Are you talking about the Paytm documentation? So I'll definitely share that. Just give me a second. Okay. So I have shared the Paytm documentation. You can just go through it, and you can also follow up from the stream. And to move ahead with, if you have seen Stack Overflow earlier, they were used to focus on the common problems, right? The common error messages which were actually happening. Currently it has almost solution to all the problems, but in the earlier times it was used to focus on the common problems, such as, okay, this problem is actually occurred to a lot of folks, like lot of folks in the sense that, okay, in a set of 100 people, 95 people are facing problem using React or using React any API key, and a solution was actually given to that. Same is been done in an API documentation. So when we actually talk about API documentation, we actually make sure that we use that API for ourselves. We will also talk about this later in our stream, but make sure if you are making an API, you use it yourself, so that okay, you don't have permission to access. Okay, I can do one thing. I can make sure I can use a chat, and I'll share this link once again. I hope that will be good. Otherwise I'll share a doc link where you can actually access this link. Okay, let me check. Okay, share. I can do one thing. Okay, okay, as a viewer, uh, just a second folks, I'll make sure that, okay, copy link. Okay, I'm sharing a doc link in the chat, and there this Paytm link is available. I'll be also sharing another link there. So okay, I guess I have not missed it. You can just go and access this doc. You will be able to see that Paytm link, and you can just start getting with the docs. But to move back to where we actually left it, the error messages, it should contain the error messages and all the other things. So if you can clearly see, firstly, it has given an overview of the JS checkout, how things will be actually made, and one more thing, pay with Paytm, like what are the offers which will be available with your API, and what will be the other payment options which will also be available. So there can be also a chance that you don't have a posted plan, so you can always use your net banking services or debit card, UPI or credit card. And a very important thing, advantages of payment JS checkout. The reason here is, again, I have said this is a very competitive market. So a lot of folks using want people to use their API because they do earn from this API systems. So they have listed down all the important advantages a person can get using their. And the most important thing which I really wanted to mention, which you should have in your API documentation, is a proper screenshots. So yes, people might be aware about this. Like, so Paytm has clearly said that if you're going to use their documentation, you can clearly see a desktop, how their systems are going to look: desktop web version, mobile web version. You can clearly see, right? So if you actually click on payment systems and you go to the, like, for making in payment, and if you have used Paytm as an integration in your system, this is how things will look in your desktop version and in your mobile version. It's very clear. This is, I guess, 16 to 9 ratio, and this is 9 to 16 ratio for desktop and web version. This is very important in your API documentation. The reason is, you need to make people, like, think, make it relatable. For example, there's a very, I guess, good line in a movie, that we never forget visuals. I don't know. I guess this is a movie, Indian-based movie, Drishyam. They clearly say that you never forget about visuals. So if I'm a developer working for a company, want to use integrate and payment API, and in an API documentation, I can clearly see this is a desktop web version and this is a mobile web version. So if I will be having a conversation with my team, okay, this is how things will be looking if we will be using the Paytm API. So the team will be actually clear about, okay, this is how things will be looking, and we can actually go through if this all things works with our system. And you can clearly see a demo video. If I can, just a second, you can just check it out from the start. Can you find something more easy than this? Like, they have given a very, I don't know, I guess people are able to access the doc stream, like the doc which I have shared. That is for sure. Hey Tintin, welcome to the stream. This stream will be all about API documentation. We are going to talk about understanding the API documentation. What are the best practices for API documentation? Then the common API documentation challenges which a lot of technical writers do go through. Then some API documentation tools which are available in the market. And nextly, we also have a challenge at the last for all the other things. So, yep. Uh, what did you say about visuals? The thing which I said about visual is, when we see something, like when we have a picture of something or when we see a video, there is a very less chance that we are going to forget it. So, for example, if you have ever gone to a movie, you might have, yep, like, not this, but a picture can help you remind it better than a textbook. So for example, you might have seen we were used to say that we should learn in our childhood system while making diagrams, right? So the reason was that we are actually able to learn the diagrams better than the written words, because our brain actually functions the same way, that we are able to understand what is actually a diagram rather than just revising the certain set of words again and again. So that is why screenshots are important. And to be very honest, Paytm has clearly given a demo video how you can actually, yep, you can actually integrate their, like, I can clearly, this is a very simple, you can customize it as per your reference. You can just need to go and generate the JS code. It will generate API case for you, and the next thing you need to do is just go and paste it in a system. As simple as that. Okay, so moving ahead, I guess we can get back to our slides. So yeah, we got with getting started guides. The next thing was reference documentation. Why this type of documentation was important, and tutorials and code samples. Okay. So to move ahead, I guess I also need to show the tutorials and code samples. Hello, what is the difference between API and the plugin? Thanks. Okay, so API is generally the basically you can say something which is depends upon the request response model, and plugins are basically you can say addition, more like an integration. So plugin more, there are certain softwares which do not require an API to get integrated in a system, that are basically the plugins. And APIs are the certain keys or the services which actually work on the response request model. So, no, sorry, so the request response model, you need to request it from the server, and the server will actually understand your query and will respond with the best immediate answer. That is how the APIs works. The plugins are more like you can say just an integration of the softwares in your system. I hope the doubt is clear and I was able to put it better. Again, if I want to put it again in another way, plugins are just integrations of system which do not use APIs, or more like a direct integration into the system. It can be okay. It can be, if I want to give an example, it can be a Chrome extension in a plugin, you can say. And APIs, yes, you can use APIs in a system to use the services. For example, when we use services of a food ordering website with a Google Maps API, right? So we are actually requesting from, like, the Zomato system is actually requesting from the Google regarding their Maps API, and there is like they're sending a response as per the request. Okay, what is the API main architecture component layer? Thanks. API main architecture component layer, as I've mentioned, I hope I'm correct here. It's basically the request response model. This is the main architecture. If I can also show you something, just a second. Uh, just a second. I also have certain things for this API main. If I can able to find this thing structure. Okay. Just a second, folks. If I, yeah, if I will be able to get that image, the main structure is always okay. Just a second. Okay, save image as. Okay, now I can put this image here and I can get this pic. Okay. Okay. Someone asked about. Yep, I guess someone said it. It's the control layer of the service layer. But if I want to give you proper API architecture, in simple ways, so there is a proper API gateway, and then we have clients like mobile server, researchers, web applications. All the people use APIs for their own benefit. And what us like API gateway does is it sends a request to the main APIs, the third party APIs, and the third party APIs actually goes through it, like checks it, what is the proper request, what does the user want from us, and they send a response from that side. Okay. Hello, what are the development norms and standards of API project along development life cycle process? I guess I might not be the best person to answer this particular thing, but like if I talk about the basic development norms, the basic development norms of a standard API project app, that should be okay. Let me go through the question once again. What are the development norms and standards for an API project? The API project should always focus on is it able to process the proper request sent by the user. The clear thing is, if I am sending a request to the API, is the API sufficient enough to give back the proper, if the proper answer? For example, the Google Map API, I have the example I've given at the starting. What it means is, if the Zomato's, like if any food delivery system is actually sending a request to the Google Map API of a food ordering system, it should be able to like uh, process that request and send the correct information. And I guess I'm not able to find it, but yep, this should be a proper answer for this question. So to move back, the next important thing that should be available in your API documentation is tutorials and code samples. Why is it? Because a lot of folks will be new, who will be actually going through your API documentation for the first time. So there can be a case that you might be making a college project making a college project for your system, and you might be confused, okay, how I'm going to use tutorials and code samples. Okay folks, I'm going to take up, I guess, all the questions just after I complete the slides. That would be better, because in that way we'll be not be able to complete our whole slides. We have a ton to discuss today. We also have a challenge. I just need to make sure that we should be able to get to that challenge. Yep, I'm not able to present it. We have a lot to discuss today. I'll just complete it. I'll make sure I'll answer all the important questions as you move ahead. Okay, so to move back, whew, okay, nothing to say sorry about it. The stream is all about asking questions, but it's just that I need a proper flow. Okay, moving back, we are at API documentation and components. The next important thing was tutorials and code samples. It is important because you need to give a step-by-step introduction of how your API will accomplish tasks, along with the code and example of in various programming languages. Now, why the last line is important, along with the code examples in various programming languages. So there can be a case that I'm a person who is proficient in C programming, but another person actually codes in Python, or it can be C sharp, or it can be C++. So the important thing here is to understand that all the API should be given able to accomplish all the specific tasks, and should be comfortable with all the programming languages. So this is important because you cannot find developers always coding in a single set of language. There was a time like almost 80% of the folks were used to code in C++. Now, but if I talk about now, you can find an even distribution of people working with different set of programming languages. So make sure that should be available in your API documentation with all the other tutorial and code samples. Moving ahead, it's time for us to learn how to make a proper API documentation from the basics. Uh, More like also we'll be all talking about tricks. Okay, so to start with, I guess if you have done my stream of GitHub README, you should be available about tell me about yourself. We always start with what I am about. So when you always start your API documentation, make sure that you need to tell about yourself. Like you need to begin with your documentation, an overview of your API with its main features. So if you remember, we did this right. Start building with Paytm, and if you can measure this, it has mentioned a detailed payment flow and the dashboard, which should be there in your overview, so that if someone is for the first time is entering on your API developer documentation page, should be able to understand that okay, these are the features which are being actually provided by this particular API, and I need to go through this. As simple as that. So this is, yes, you need to tell about yourself. The next thing is 2 plus 2 equals to 4. I know this might be a very fussy language, but you need to use simple language in your developer documentation. There will be tons of time that the people who are using your APIs do not know much about code. They're using YouTube, they're using any Twitch other streams to actually understand, make their project like for the first time. And what they want to do is they just want to use your APIs, right, for their system. So make sure you avoid using technical jargon, complex language in your documentation. Use simple, clear language that is easy to understand. Once again, I'm telling you that should be easy to understand, because there might be tons of time that folks. Yep, in the Spotify API, I guess might a lot of you might have used Spotify API for a lot of time, but yep, it's very important to make it very simple. The reason I've made the heading 2 plus 2 equals to 4, because it's easy to understand, right? So if I've written 2 to the power something like that with an variable x, but the end result was 4, that would be something which will be actually difficult for you to understand. But here it's very it's using simple language and using technical jargon and complex language. You should avoid that and use simple clear language that is easy to understand. The next thing is follow an order. Organize information in the way, right? You need to organize information into logical sections such that endpoints, request parameters, response parameters. I know this might be certain ways that might be going bouncer for you. What are the things we will be discussing about it? But use proper headings, subheadings, bullet point so that it's easy to understand. Do not fill your documentation with a lot of words, right? Okay, a tons of words which are available. So if I can show you, uh, let me go back. So if you can clearly see in the API, you can see integration overview. It has given a basic integration overview. Okay, let me show you. Okay, if I talk about if any developer actually lands on a API documentation, it should be able to know about the prerequisites, right? So what it is here, organize information in order. Start with the prerequisites. You need to have a Paytm merchant dashboard. You can see all the features should be available here. Then you need to generate API keys at Paytm. Login into dashboard, select the API keys. Now you can clearly see here. I guess you can also see proper order has been followed. They have listed down into 5 different points. They have proper made sure that it's easy to understand. They have made sure they have bold the important APIs keys, like the terminologies which are important here. And in that way, this is very easy to understand and very pleasing to eyes. When I say pleasing to eyes, it means that I'm able to understand it in the first go. Okay, I clearly know that I need to log into the dashboard. I need to select the API keys. I need to click generate now and on the test mode. So this is how things should be made. And if I want to show you also one more thing, okay, so this is they have also given a code. So when we have talked about this in the previous time, that you need to like you need to put test samples and codes. The reason important here is it actually helps the user to understand it better. And they've also made an important like a simple page about you need how you can customize your payment space design within JS code, right? They have put a JS code. You can just copy it from here, paste it in a system where you have already written the code about your front end and back end, and you're working more about it, right? So next thing is if I can show you the one thing which I actually mentioned this in my slides, and you can clearly see not everyone will be working with the same programming language as you're working. There will be tons of ways that people will be working on different languages, and you can clearly see here. So you need to initiate a transaction received, right? So you can clearly see different coding languages: curl, java, in node.js, php, python, and .NET. I guess Paytm might have seen the most amount of you can say time where you can see people are actually using APIs, and they've used that. Apart from that, they have also sent a sample response which people can actually put, and you can click and want to know more about it. I know these are very like these are the terms which are made by a proper documentation developer, like the person who has documented it. But to here understand it, you just need to understand, you need to make your system clear, and you to work upon it. Okay, the next we can go back to the slides. The next thing is make it relatable. Okay, you need to provide examples. Like for examples, we always Yep, we are going to use Swagger and Postman for today. Good guess, sure. Okay, so the next important thing, you need to make it relatable. I guess this is very simple, that when we have usually have conversations with each other, we give examples, right? Okay, when we are having a conversation with friend, okay, I have used this example, and your friend understand it, right? The same goes here. You need to make it relatable so that if you're actually explaining an API key, or you're actually referring an API key to another person, they should be able to understand it, and that should be also reflected in your API documentation. Things should be clear. It should be clear that okay, uh, what my API documentation do, how it's going to get an example. I guess even if I can share here, uh, I guess it was in configuration and customization. Let me check. Okay, I was talking about this examples, the demo, basically the demo. Like people should be able to make it relatable how your API after function should be looking at their system. As simple as that. Okay. Next thing is don't confuse readers. There will be a lot of time that people who also are not going to use your API keys will be just going to their your developer documentation page and will be reading about it, right? So you are not going to confuse them, right? Simple thing is you're not going to refer a parameter as customer name in one section and client name in the other section. So for example, if you're using customer name in a section, make sure you use customer name in all the section if you're giving any relatable experience anywhere in the documentation, so that the user will be actually able to understand it. Okay, I have talked about customer name there. Okay, it's the same customer name here with a different thing, but he will be able to make it relatable. Okay, the next thing is try yourself. Test your documentation on yourself. Okay, before publishing your documentation, test is thoroughly, ensure that the information is accurate and up to date. Now this thing is important because with time things will be getting updated again and again. Like there will be upgradations, there can be upgradations in the system, so that systems can get updated far better than any other things. And you need to use the real world scenarios to test your documentation and your APIs, so that people should be able to understand, okay, with the advancements in the system this API still works and we should use it. So make sure you try it on yourself. And this is just my suggestion: when you do an API documentation, try to find developers around you and give them just to read about your API. Like, do not give them an overview of what your API does. Just give them your you can say API, and talk to them about, okay, uh, just say them, I have done an API documentation, I have made an API. I know you folks will be making tons of API during this week, but I have made this API, I have done this documentation. So can you just go and take a look at this and let me know if you understand something. Next is, again, I've said, stay with the trend. Now, what is important to stay with the trend is because you need to make sure you update yourself regularly. The reason is APIs are constantly evolving. You will have competitors in your space if you are moving into that space. And the important thing is you need to make sure you are updated yourself regularly, so that if someone, any other developer who is serious senior experienced developer is going through your API documentation, should be able to understand, okay, the individual here is actually has been updating its API time to time and it's easy to understand. Okay, I guess now we can take some questions before we actually move on to the problems. If I talk about myself, I don't want to talk much through the slides. We are going to go hands on now. But okay, I'm just going above. Hmm. Okay, I have answered this API architecture, answered this. Okay, just a second, folks. Let me open my Postman till then. Uh, okay, let me check. Okay, how many of you have used Swagger or Postman ever? Like, if you have used, if you have used, uh, okay. Okay, if I have to answer this question about service discovery and payment gateway, so according to me, service gateway, okay, service discovery is more about receiving requests from the clients. It's a single service, it's a single request, you can say, like a single request at a time. But in API gateway, you can find. I am not accurate on this, but you can find multiple requests at a time. I guess if that will be accurate. Is there any API references, resources, ebook, site, tutorials, scientific paper to recommend? Okay. You can always go through. I was already shared Paytm link, like the API documentation link. The next thing I can also share about, you can go through tons of people tons of documentation tools such as Swagger and Postman, and you will be able to know more about it. Okay. Okay. What is the work methodology agile to adapt building an API project app? Okay. So this is a very good question. I can answer this. So, okay, so to understand, let me give an example of my project which I have made and the methodology which I have followed. So I saw that the first thing is need to proper identification of the problem statement. So what I did is I was able to see that a lot of people were actually implementing and putting up a lot of money in the Web3 market, and but they were not able to get regular updates around it. Okay, so the first thing is a proper you can say problem statement. The next thing is working on its components. Working on its components is means that what is the requirement of the user, what they actually want to see in the system, and what are the ways which can actually put user to spend more time on your website, right? So the next thing is I saw that people want to see 24/7 updated of the top cryptocurrencies. The next thing important was that they wanted clear interface, right? Not something which is very clumsy, because if you see a lot of payment gateways of Web3, they put up a lot of information of the website, making it difficult for the users to understand. So I made it very simple. uh, Second step was that. Third step was generating an API key. So if you can see, I can show you the API key which I have used while generating my. Okay, let me go to API. Okay, explore docs. Let me just. Just a second. What? Okay, so if I can share the screen. So I've used CoinGecko API back when I made my first project because this question was asked, and this get is actually to, if you want to get you can say retrieve information, so you can use the get method. I know it's something difficult to understand, but I can go here and let me check from where I actually got the key. Okay, crypto API, view plans. I guess I'm not able to see that now. There might be a change, but if I talk about the proper method, I have gone to CoinGecko. I have took an API from here, and the next thing was I made sure that I can just get back to this. I make sure that I have made a proper interface that should be actually relatable to the system. Relatable to the system means people should be able to find it easy to understand that okay, this has been done. I guess a good recommendation by Shivam. You can read API development books by orally. They're always good. I hope this recommendation is good. I haven't gone through this till now, but yeah. So moving back to this one, the next thing, once I have done that, I have made a proper front end and back end, and I have made all the resources. I'll use the API key for my system. And an important thing here is to understand that what is the amount of data you want to retrieve from an API key. So when you use and get method, you usually retrieve the information from an API, right? So I know that people only want to know about the top 50 Web3 coins, like the update on them. So in the API system, you are actually able to know about that top 50 only. Okay, I guess when I actually applied it for the first time, I was able to get the API key, and I made sure that I only list the top 50, not the all, because the API actually contains a lot and a lot of data. Because if you're able, in any time, if you're able to see, any API key will contain tons and tons of data, but not every time you will be needing that data. I'll be very sure on that, because the reason is uh, you will be only requiring certain set of data which actually solves your problem, right? Not the other problem. So as simple as that. I hope. And after that, I just build an API project, and I guess this is a proper method which you actually should follow if you're able, like, using the agile method, if you're trying to build an API project. I hope that makes sense. But yep, this is what I made. Okay. What are the technologies, programming languages, editor, frameworks, template, plugins adapted for building an API project app? If I talk about an API project app, you just need to have a proper hand on any of the languages. If I talk about myself, I had a good hand on React. Like I made. a website, right? So I had a good hand on API on the React JS. I used the API from CoinGecko. I also took some help from the system. Okay, folks. Okay, I hope the internet is good, folks. Just let me know if there is a like if there is a problem from the internet side. If anyone in the chat can let me know if there is a system from the no. Okay, good. I was having a problem here with the internet, so I guess it's better to ask. Okay, thanks for the update, folks. Yep, if I talk about this, if you want to use APIs, there are certain amazing systems like uh, Swagger, Postman, and other things, which will be actually discussing more about. Moving ahead. Yep, I will be sharing all the slides. I will be sharing all the slides. Okay, I can do one more thing. I can also share the same link again in the docs link where I'll share the. Yep, I have used the Postman to test API, same as me. If you have also used Postman for a sneak, how many of you played the sneak mini event? I hope you might have played it at any other Major League Hacking Postman, Major League Hacking Hackathon. I'm so sorry for that. By the way, I also wanted to know how to secure API keys or hide API keys because when I deployed my JS project, GitHub Guardian showing are is exposing. Uh, Okay, I do not have a more idea about this, but when I worked on my API system, what I did is I did not display my API keys on the GitHub server. So when you actually talk about putting your data on GitHub, you can do always do one thing that uh, you can hide those keys. Okay, I can do this thing. I guess I know the answer for this. Just a second. I have done this. I can show an example. Okay. Okay, you can do this. You just need to configure file that stores your API keys, and that is included in other. Okay, I can show you the exact thing which I have done, and you can also see I have done this when you want to actually show like how your sensitive data can be secured from the client, right? So you can clearly see. I'll share the link to this. I have used the same blog at my time. I guess Shivam did the right thing. And also she Murray create an environment and used a .git ignore to hide the API key. I was just remembering about this, that what are the things we need to do. Yep. If I can see, let me check. Okay. Does webhook is same like this? I guess webhook is most commonly used to simply communication between two applications, but they can also be used as workflow and might be used to enable GitOps practices. Like it's more like they are an automated messages. If I talk about webhooks, automatic messages that are being sent from apps when something happens. So when any activity happens, more like an automated messages that are being sent and yep, I hope that will be more about webhooks. Okay, so okay, to move ahead, I'll just take a quick quick 5 minutes break. I just need to get my throat back with a set of coffee. Not 5 minutes, I guess it will be just 2 minutes, and I'll be back. And I until the time you can also grab a certain set of coffee for you. But now because we will be moving on the challenges and like we will be working with the certain set of things which are used for API documentation challenges and the common problems faced by the API documentation people. So I'll be just back. I'll just be putting a music. I'll be just back. Hey folks, thanks for staying by. Although I was not able to get my coffee, but I was able to get some good time for my throat. Uh, Never took spoke for 1 hour straight. But yep, I do use White sometime, but more time I'm shifting to 3JS now. I guess for front end. Okay, I guess a very good thing. You folks should connect on Discord if you want to learn more about APIs. The reason is I'm very sure there might be someone on the stream who knows better than me about APIs. I'm not going to challenge it though. I have also learned a lot about APIs, but if you actually connect with people on Discord, this Global Hack Weeks are all about connecting with people on Discord, actually learning new about the systems, APIs, challenges which will be actually occurring. So yep. But today the next thing is which I want to discuss is okay. Yep. Is API documentation hard? Before we actually talk about a thing that is how we are actually going to document our API, the next thing is API documentation hard? So we are going to talk about what are the major problems which are actually being faced by people and which you folks will be also facing while you will be actually making your API documentation. That is, first thing is the complexity. The reason is I have also stated this in my previous slides. You need to make it very simple. Uh, the overall system of your API documentation so that people are easily able to understand it. I have said that you need to make it that simple that people are able to understand 2 plus 2 is 4, right? So try to make it that because tons of time developers, when they do not know much about API documentation, they put some technical jargons which are very tough to understand for people who are new to this API documentation system seam. The next thing is consistency. So when I talk about consistency, is actually updating your docs and getting updated. Just a second, folks. Just a second. I guess alarm just popped off. Next thing is you need to be consistent with your API documentation. You need to update it with all the regular trends, all the other things. Next thing is proper API technical writing. One more thing is I also wanted to show it in. Let me tell you. Okay, I'm just putting up. Okay, proper technical writing. Now here technical writing also means using simple jargons people are able to understand. Putting up things, major FAQs that should be updated. So if you can see here, let me share this. A proper FAQ has been generated by Paytm here. So you can see all the responses. What is JS checkout? It's a JavaScript based integration using payment gateway. How many payment options are supported in JS checkout? All the things are listed here. Developer queries. I guess the most important thing which every technical writer who works on API documentation should look at is a developer query, right? How do I manage callback in the same page instead of redirecting to another page? Right? Is my backend language required? Yes. See, it's been clearly mentioned what are the ways which languages are being supported with this API. Okay, why do we need to use backend for JS checkout? It's also been mentioned. The reason is and a contractors at the end. These things are important because these things are very easy to understand. At a simple go, I'm able to understand, okay, I need to use this. This is how I'm going to initiate my API keys. Appendix are something which a lot of people might miss on. This more like if you want to customize via code, all the codes will be given here with code samples. You can always check that. The next thing is the most important thing is integration projects progress, which is we mentioned here with the languages which we have already talked about. The next thing is technical writing, which I've also already mentioned. Keeping documentation up to date. With time, there will be a lot of advancements in your projects. You can see if you're using if any system is using your API. Okay, for example, you might have seen this case. Google has started this Google reviews thing, right? So what is happening is Google actually pushes you. So for example, if you by chance if you visit my college, Google is going to ask you the next second, how was Bhilai Institute of Technology Durg? It's going to ask you for a rating. It's going to ask you for a review, right? You need to put that. So why it's been done that? Because Google is again updating its system again back to back on its own. And once it's done that, it's the role of Google that they should be updating your APIs through with the data, so that people when they're integrating APIs, it will be easy to understand, okay, this has been updated. Next is lack of user feedback. I guess the most important thing which is important while advocating about APIs is the lack of feedback, right? So if you're not able to connect better with the hacker community, I guess a lot of around 50 people who are on the stream. So for example, if I made an API, right, I will display to your folks. You're the people who are going to give me an honest opinion on how my API looks. Is the API actually making a problem solved, right? So when I talk about if I've used an Web3 API for listing down all the resources of all the top 50 Web3 coins, it's very important to understand that is it solving a problem? Is your API something which is actually helping the developer making the best use out of it? Otherwise, developer can also put its own data without using your API, right? So that is the thing. The next thing is integration with other systems. It's very important that your API is integratable with other systems. The reason is uh, two important things are here. Two important things are here. If your API will not be integratable with other systems, there is a high chance that people are going to get away from your API. The reason is the dropout rate is very high. So, for example, if I'm using an API from CoinGecko, CoinGecko is also not the single place which is going to give me a data about Web3 coins, right? There will be tons of other places. As I've said for Paytm, Paytm has listed their features if you use their API and not others. The last and the most important problem, which is actually faced by a lot of API documentation, is the multilingual support. There can be cases people will not be able to understand it in your language, but it's very important to understand that you need to present it in a certain way. First of all, without any more technical jargons. The next thing is language should be there. It should be available in different languages. For example, if I talk about Paytm, I guess it's all also available in other languages too. So you can just go and like learn more about it. And one more thing which I wanted to mention, a feedback pages also should be there in your API documentation. You can clearly see here, right? A feedback option is given here, so that people should be able to give feedbacks. As simple as that. So this is the ways API why API documentation is hard. But I guess we have also talked about all the challenges. But it's now our time to get our hands dirty. I just want to get a clarification, just a second, for our challenge. If we can do, okay, okay. So how many of you know about Swagger or Postman or any other? Like, if you know about it, you can just let me know in the chat. If you have ever used Swagger, if you have ever used Postman for APIs or any other thing. I have definitely used. I have definitely used. So I've used Postman more because I have been running Sneak. Okay, I can see a lot of Postman in the chat. Okay, yep. Probably I probably love Postman more. The reason is uh, I've used it more with security challenges which I have done. Yep, Postman and Swagger, the two more most used ones. And I was also going through PayPal's APIs like a day before because I was actually working on the same system. Like wanted to give you better examples, but I was able to get on like Paytm first. So I'm just going to share my screen. I'm going to open my workspace. Okay. So the most important thing, since we are also going to display, like I also wanted to ask that are you folks okay? Never use Swagger. I can see a lot of people using Postman. Using Swagger is also a thing. So if I also show you an interface, okay. I really want to ask. I guess a lot of people might know what are these get post. If anyone can in the tell, can anyone tell? Get post. Absolutely, the requests methods requests. People are more smarter than me, definitely for sure. Yep, the web request. You can clearly see. And if you talk about the Paytm documentation we have just done, like we have used, yep, get is used to fetch data, post is used to update data. I guess these are the ways which are being actually used a lot. And I also want to show you one more thing, just a second. New. I guess I've used a reference material from one of my friends for this stream. I guess if someone do not know about Git Fetch, people in the stream are already super good. They have already told a lot about it. Okay, let me check on this. Okay, if you actually know about it, all the documentations which are done by any company called Paytm, they majorly use Swagger, Postman for their API documentation. I know a lot of folks who are in the stream will be new to this. These things will be like a lot difficult for you to understand. But let me tell you, these are just pre like things which are already been put up, right? You can just the purpose of this stream to actually make sure you to make you know more about API documentation. What are the things which should be available? What are the things which you should avoid while doing an API documentation? So, yep. And the next thing is to get you comfortable with resources like Swagger or you can say uh, Postman. I guess a lot of people. Yep, it looked like an YAML file, which you are correct, which usually happens. So I'm just going to check if I can show you that. Okay, environment, support center. Okay, if I share this, I guess, yep, you can clearly see all the methods which are here: get, post, put, patch, delete. I guess a lot of things are here when you send a request through an API. I guess if you have done the Sneak cybersecurity challenge, Rahul, I might not be aware about this. Can you tell how to add JWT token and Postman? I might not be aware about this. So, yep, I guess Google might be a good answer to this. Okay, let me check this. I have done this before, but it comes under author. Okay, one more important thing, I guess, with these questions. Uh, okay, authorizing request. I guess this is also another API documentation which are done by Postman now. So you can clearly see it tells all the like contents of the page which should be there in your documentation. Apart from that, JWT bearer. Hmm. I guess we might miss on the important time, which this is a challenge which I actually want to give to a lot of people. Okay, so okay, to start with the challenge. Okay, if okay for Swagger, I'm going to tell. Okay, if you talk about Swagger, you can just go to your account overview first of all. Okay, this is my user profile. This is all. I can also develop my own API key. So if you have never made an API, I guess you might have seen a stream to work with the APIs. Uh, you might be aware about how you can actually make your API key. This is my, and if I go to my hub, you can clearly see I can open this. You can make your own API. This is just an example of home IoT API. A lot of if I actually clear you the terms here, post get methods are simple methods which we have talked about now. So this is the UI docs, right? You can actually hide it. This is the visual editor which we actually hide, and this is the code editor which actually tells about all the codes of this API system. So this is if you talk about the documentation, most important part. Okay, let the page load. Share this tab instead. We are going to make it very simple in this stream. I do not want to put a lot of pressure on you. I know I have talked a lot about theoretical part. So in this API documentation, you can clearly see what are the things which are clearly mentioned here, right? So you can clearly see if you use the get for sending a request, like for retrieving a request, these other things should be available. I know this is something which is very professional, done by something person by a person who is very professional, but here you just need to understand what are the various simple things which you need to know. If you click here, okay, so you can clearly, yeah, if you send a post request for the device that is actually to update an information, this is an example which is given. Now understand here, the request body is application JSON. This is an example value which you can actually send it in your system. And the most important thing which we also discussed in our slides, you can check out the responses, right? This is the code and this is the description. So when you will run this actually simple code, you're going to get this description, that is successfully registered device. That is actually the first step. Now moving ahead, if I can go through, this is the Z wave, right? So again, you will send a request, this is the code, and this is something which you will actually get as a value, right? So this is the response. Media type is application JSON. You need to put out this code. Now one more important thing, if you remember, we also discussed during our slides presentation, is the important thing which I feel is you need to put out code samples. The reason is, and you might also remember one thing, why it is put it in a black box, right? So whenever we usually code, there are certain code editors like VS Code or any other code editor you use, they are basically in dark mode, right? So this is also made used to make it relatable more with you. So whenever I see a code written in a black box, I will be able to actually make it relatable how this will also look in my system if I'm going to request this, right? So this is done by systems to make you more understandable more about it. So these are the different ways which you can actually more know about it. Okay, these are, okay, this is more advanced version. I'm not going to put it going to be like more difficult for you, but I guess I hope major things are like understandable, how you can make, how you can use these systems to make your API key and like make your API documentation. I know this might be more difficult to understand, okay, how you can write your own API documentation. So we are going to do things now. I'm just going to remove this tab. We are going to move to a challenge. I'm going to keep this challenge very simple. I know we have talked about documentation tools such as Swagger, Postman, but I'm going to tell you today we are going to simply use Notepad. What I'm going to tell you is we have talked about a lot of APIs, right? So I want to know what is your most favorite API. I hope a lot of people have worked on weather API, right? Like integrating weather on your systems. Have you ever worked with weather API? Any one of you? Any one of you? If you have ever read, uh, okay. And if I want to, yep, a lot of people have used weather API. I can see a lot of yes. I guess a lot of free things are already available in the free version of Swagger. You can always use it, and there will be also a paid version when you use to start the premium services. But there will always be a free version with Swagger, which I've always noticed. A lot of people, oh, it's a second session in API. Okay, so whatever have you learned throughout the session, I just want you. I am not going to force you to use Swagger or Postman. I know we are already running somewhat late on time. I'm not going to push you to like use Swagger or you can say Postman to use. You can always go to Postman or Swagger. Just open this and write those API documentation. I just want to let you know, use an Google Doc, a Notepad, Postman, Swagger, whatever you want to do. Write a single page API documentation for a weather API. As simple as that. The challenge will be as simple as that. I'm just going to check if we can do a surprise for this challenge also. Just give me a second. Uh, okay, let me check. Just a second. Till the time I get a response, I have already told you the challenge. See a weather API. You can also see in documentation on weather API. Open it. Use Notepad, Postman, Swagger, whatever you want to use. I'm going to share a Google form link where you need to put your email and the work you have done. Only a single page API documentation on weather API. I am going to show all on the screen, and I'll make sure that all the people who have done weather APIs do it now. You should try this on the stream. I'm just going to give you like 10 minutes. I know the time is pretty much short, but you already know about all the systems. I know I could have told more about Postman, but I guess that might have took a lot of time. So you will have approximately 15 minutes from now. Let's take 15 minutes from now, and Okay, okay. I just got a confirmation. We will also be doing a swag giveaway on this stream, like a special swag which usually uh, you can see that Mary used to do on streams. So to all the people who will be doing this API documentation, we will be taking one from them and we will be doing a special swag giveaway. So to start with, you have 15 minutes from now and use any weather API key, do a documentation of one page and let's see who comes at the top. I'm just going to create a Google form link. Time has already started, folks. You have 15 minutes from now, and one person from all the folks who will be actually participating in this challenge will be getting an swag drop from MLH. That's a special swag drop, not the normal swags. Till the time, folks, I'll be just back in 2 minutes. Your time has already started for the street, like for the challenge. Again, you are free to use whatever you can use random APIs. Make sure you just update it for your reference. You can write it in your Google Doc. Make sure it's just a single page. I just want to understand what you have learned throughout the stream, which we have talked on the slides. You can add code samples, you can do a lot of things. I just want to see in that one page what you can do, and we're going to do a one swag drop giveaway. And I'm just going to put on some music and I'll be back in 2 minutes. Back. Okay, I guess 2 minutes passed super quick. So we are back once again. And now we are going to, I have already given you the challenge. One of you will be also getting a swag drop. Make sure you just write a single page documentation. We have talked a lot about API documentation throughout the stream. And the most important thing here is you need to understand in that one page doc, which the challenge I have given you, it should just contain the basic details of an API, weather API. As simple as that. You want to add a code snippet, if you want to add an API key, whatever you want to do, just do that. As simple as that. I will be sharing a Google form link where you need to actually. Okay, let me shorten the URL, copy. Let me check it on. Okay, looks good. Looks good. It can be a doc file, it can be a PPT. More like try to put it in a doc file. You can also use Postman and other methods for making an API documentation. I've also told how you can use Postman and Swagger for your own systems. So I have that. That should be good. But your time has already started. I can see 5 minutes passed by. You have 10 more minutes. Again, I am saying only a single page documentation about whether APIs with docs, with code samples, and whatever we have talked about the whole stream. You can make it to 2 page also, but make sure your thing should be completed in time. Do not copy paste, folks. I'm going to be able to check that from Chat GPT because it can tell that what things can be like what things are copied from the system. Okay, like if you don't know, actually, if you copy answers from Chat GPT and someone from people who is actually checking your sheet can actually paste the same thing and ask, did you write this Chat GPT? And if they found that yes, you have copied it from there, it's a direct disqualification. So make sure you enjoy this. Do this simple API documentation on weather APIs, and all the people who are actually participating in challenges, one will be getting a special swag drop from us. That is a special swag drop from Major League Hacking. So make sure you participate. Till the time I can also complete my API documentation on, and I'll do one more thing. I can share the slides link now, right? A lot of people also asked for slides. Okay, I guess I need to share this. Restricted anyone with the link. Viewer copy link. Let me check it on incognito tab. Okay, looks good. So to all the people who want to, just a second, folks. Right. So I'm sharing a Google Doc link where, okay, that should not be an editable link. Okay. I'm sharing a link. This is a Google Doc link where you can actually find the PPT which I have shared. But this is the link which is for the submission of the challenge. You already, I guess, 8 minutes have passed in the challenge. You have 7 more minutes in your challenge. Till the time, folks, if you are on Twitter by any chance, you can connect with me on IG underscore raw X on Twitter. Would be happy to connect with you, folks. I put a lot of stuff around APIs, then you can say hackathons, most probably, because I'm a coach at Major League Hacking. You can find me at hackathons. I guess all the people who are in the chat, I might have also met you during hackathons. So it's always good. I guess tomorrow we also have a stream on deploying your first page on GitHub. So make sure you get ready for that too. We will be working around that. But yep, Twitter and LinkedIn is always a good place to connect with. So you can connect with me there. Till the time, let me also play a music, right? So you can get some vibe. Okay, that's let's try to find out certain musics till the time you're completing your projects. Okay, but I also wanted to share a few more things while you're doing your API documentation. The things are, keep it simple, keep it that way that I will be able to understand it. Few certain reasons. I've already got two responses, folks. Very okay. The challenge link is this. Just two messages above. Harsh Singh HCS. Try to keep it simple. Try to keep it to the point. Just a single page API. Do not try to put a lot of technical things. Simple weather API. As simple as that. Uh, I guess Betsy, if you haven't put your link correct, I can see your email, but you haven't put the link correct. And also, Margaret, who you have put a wrong link on the submissions link, challenge link. This is not what I've asked for. I've asked for a API documentation. So you still have time. You can submit it. And if you want to again want me to share the link for, let me just share that once again. I guess I am already presenting that on the screen. So you are good to go with the submission there. And if you're finding any problem while with the link, just let me know. I'll just paste it once again. But you have more, uh, I guess, 6 minutes more. 6 minutes more. 6 minutes more. We also have a stream just after this, so we also, this is getting recorded. Uh, like this stream will be on Twitch, nonetheless, and will be on a YouTube for a long period of time. So yep. If you ask how much time left, it's 6 to 6 minutes more probably. Take your time, but at the end of, you can clearly say, uh, I'm going to like after 6 minutes, I'm going to close this because there was a certain time. I've got a submission from. Okay, Margaret has now put a good link according to me. Uh, you have now shared my. Okay, Margaret is trying to play with my head, but you have actually shared the link of my API stream link, which you do not have to do here. Okay, so I'm just going to delete your response. Okay, let me check it from Emily. Emily, I need. You have not given me the access. People, folks, you need to give me access for your Google Doc link. Please send API challenge. API challenge is simple. API challenge is, if you want the link, I can share it once again. Just a second. I'm sharing the link once again. It's all the same link, but the important thing is, it's just a single page weather API. Emily, if you haven't given, okay, I've got it now. I have got it now from Emily. Emily, you can do one more thing till the time is there. You can took out some code snippets from the internet and you can paste here, right? I can clearly see that what you're trying to make. What you can do here is, you can check for any API documentation and you can see. And yep, if I talk about Emily, the response I've received from Emily. Uh, okay, I have it from probably Yarth. I'm sure if I'm pronouncing the name correct. That's some good work. Okay, then next we have from Rohit. Rohit has also submitted. Let me just open links one by one because we will be also sharing. Folks, you can do one thing. You can share your doc link, and you can do one thing that, okay, you want an upload. The thing is, you can do one thing, Tanzia. Can you do copy paste in Google and put it there or anywhere? I can use the link and see your project. I should have put up upload option there, but it's not there. I know. I have just given option that you're open to use Postman and Swagger too. Okay. Yeah, I can see from Harsh, from Dilara, from Arvind. Folks, last 2 minutes left. Last 2 minutes left. Last 2 minutes left. Last 2 minutes left. Okay. Where is the doc link? Okay, let me share. I hope the doc link is okay. Google Doc link. If you're talking about the Google Doc link, I have shared it here. This is the Google Doc link, which you will find the link for the Paytm getting started with and the slides one. Okay, let me check on the responses. Getting a lot of responses now, folks. Last minute, folks. We do not have much more time. We also need to restrict this stream because we have time restrictions. And like just wanted to point out this thing throughout the stream. If I have put any other wrong word while explaining anything of around APIs, I'm really sorry for that, but I'm sure I haven't done that. But still, in the case if I have done, an apology from the start. And I hope the stream was good before we actually move on to our challenges. Okay, folks, last 30 seconds, last 30 seconds. I'm going to close the submissions for the challenge. And all the people who will be participating, one of you will be getting a swag pack. Okay, I have submitted. Yep, Tanzi, I've got your submission. I've got your submission. Okay, it's not as a compulsory thing, but glad to connect with you, Rohit, on Twitter. Okay. Okay, Love Gupta has also submitted their submission. Folks, last 10 seconds. Okay, I'll try that you can get it during and ceremony like any daily stream. But okay, okay, I can see, folks. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We are closing the responses. I hope no one has missed out. Once again, the final call. No one has missed out before we actually start to took on the responses. We have somewhat less time. Rahul, haven't you submitted it on the link? Rahul? Rahul, it will be difficult for me to take an. Rahul, can you submit it on the Google Doc, like the Google form? Because I need to have data of people who have submitted for this challenge. Let me check if this is opening. Okay, folks, we'll be just now just checking a link for Rahul, and we'll see. No, it says access denied. Okay, so now it's the time. We should move to our challenges. We'll start from the backwards. We have the first submission from uh, Love Gupta. Are you in the stream? I'm just going to share my screen. Yeah, okay, I got you. Share my screen. Okay, let me add to the stream. Okay. This is done by Neelav Gupta, Weather API, start building Weather API. Okay. Good introduction. Using your API, you can fetch current weather data of your city or other city, forecast of your country or other country, historical. Good. First step is to create account. Second step, okay, this could have been better. You could have added certain code snippets or like a screenshot, like according to me. But it's a very good to start off with. But because this doc clearly states that what your API does, the purpose of your API, and if I'm a developer who will be getting an API key from this doc, will be able to understand. Okay, Love Gupta is actually giving me a weather API, which will help me to get the data of my city, and I should integrate this. So good work, Love Gupta. Okay. Then the next one we have from is from Rahul. Let me check. Okay, Rahul has done. Okay, good one. But Love Gupta, that was a very good one. I guess people are also appreciating it. It was a nice work by done. Okay, the next thing is from Rahul. Sorry, I hope the name is correct. That is from Rahul, yes. Weather API by WeatherBit. Okay, request URL is this. Header parameter, required parameters, code snippet, which I liked. The thing which should be there at the start, which I guess was presented by Love Gupta, what your API does. From the name, I know it's your weather API, but what it actually do should be an important thing. The important thing here is to understand the developers what your API does, which was done by Love Gupta. Because although Love Gupta missed the code snippet, but his work all make sure that the person understand it what an API does. So that is the thing. Code snippet is a very good thing because the person should be able to understand that what code should be added to his system. So I guess that's a good work from Rahul. Rahul, have you made another submission or it's another Rahul? I want to understand that. Okay, it's the same Rahul. Should close this. Okay. Then we have done from Love Gupta. The next one is from Tanzia. I'll just copy the link. Control V. Okay, Tanzia, I need access. I'll need access, Tanzia, for accessing your document. Okay. The next one is from Krishna. Tanzia, if you're in the stream, make sure you give me the access so that okay, next one we have it from our friend Krishna. I'm currently in first sem as the developer of this API. I have tried my okay, good. So I'll attend. Okay, that's a good one. Good one. You have put it where to reach out, getting started. What is this API about? Good one. Request and response. Good work. That's a very good work. Not gonna lie. I guess this is done by Krishna. Krishna, if you are on the stream, this is a superb work done by you. Like, to be very honest, two reasons for that. Uh, things are clear. Things was clear what your API does, what are the systems. This is simply a good work. Not gonna lie. This is simply a good work and loved it. Totally loved it. You have made the code of what you're going to do, what your API does, the API authentication, request response. So overall, a good work. Tanzia, just wanted to ask, have you done the documentation somewhere else, like Postman or Swagger? And if you want to give that link, please feel free to do. Because I know I can see your Google Doc and it looks a bit clumsy of what I can see. So if you have done it somewhere else, just let me know. I'll take it from there. You don't need to worry about it. Okay, so we can move to the next one. Good work, Krishna. To Shreyash Sukhadeve. I hope the name is correct, like I'm putting it in the right way. Okay, share this tab instead. Okay, this is done by, okay, yep, you can share it in the chat, or that will be good to go. The next thing is, okay, weather API documentation. Access up to date weather information for more than 200 location. Good work. We gather and analyze. To access API, we would run fetch. Good work. In this link, the main job would be okay. There are various parameters, geographical conditions. Good work. Actually, a good work. It's done by Sresh. If you are in the stream, Sresh, if you are in the stream, good work. Actually, because it clearly says that what you are doing, what you have done, and super comfortable to work with. Uh, Tanzia, are you asking me to do it once again on like the Google Doc because it still looks a bit clumsy to me? You can check it again till the time I can. Don't worry, I'll definitely check it yours. Okay, but good work done by Sreyash. Things were very clear. Things were very clear on this. Okay, the next is Hari Priya Kulkarni. Just let me check. Hari Priya Kulkarni. Okay, share this tab. This is by Hari Priya Kulkarni. Uh, okay, weather API documentation provides Pre-weather, okay, good. The basic URL is this. Okay, this should be, yeah, good work. I can understand this. Endpoints. Uh, okay, you have added a screenshot too. The most important thing which I loved here is the request parameters. You have provided a link so that your API documentation should always have more, like you can say, uh, a proper place where all the links should be there with a screenshot, which I guess I also mentioned in my stream. So a good work. My system is already running a check plagiarism. My system is already running. It shows me a percentage of how, and if that percentage is less than 50%, I'm keeping it. Okay, people have done from their work. As simple as that. Good work, Haripriya. Overall, next one is from Arvind. Let me check it for Arvind. Oh God. Okay, that's a good work. I can see. Okay, welcome to API documentation. I'm just loving this. Base URL, authentication, current weather, parameters, request format examples. Okay, I just wanted to ask to, I guess this work is being done by, just a second. This work is in done by Arvind. Arvind, from where you have actually worked? No, not copy paste skills. I can see there is a lot big percentage of copied, but it's a good work overall. I guess the presentation is super good. If I actually talk about a single page API documentation, this is how it should look like. As simple as that. Multilingual support, you can provide it here, as I've mentioned in my stream. Manipulation with unit measurement. Overall, a superb work done by uh, both Haripriya and Arvind. Next, we can move us to Dilara. Oh, I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing the name right. I need to make this quick. Share this tab instead. Okay. This work is done by Dilara. If you are on the stream, okay. Good. API documentaries usage. Okay. Necessary variables. Very good work of example putting request, but you have missed here the major thing, Dilara. That is, you haven't mentioned. Okay, you have put it here. Okay, if I can share, although this was a different challenge which I have given, but this is a good readme. I guess this is a readme which we have worked, but overall a good work done, as I can clearly see. The next is from Harish Singh Gloria. I hope the link is correct, or he has just copy pasted. Okay, he has just copy pasted another link. Okay, then we have from Rohit. Okay, API documentation on weather. Create an account, obtain an API key from Open Weather API app. That's a good work. Once you have a main account, go to this and create a new API key. Choose the API endpoint to use it. Good work. The next is location, London. Good work. I guess for third one is send an API request using HTTP GET method. Receives the API response, which will be in JSON format. Good work. I guess this work was done by Rohit. Rohit, actually good work. Super impressed by this. Simple and to the point. Then we have it from our friend Probable Arth. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. But okay, this is some fine work from Probable Arth, because this is some fine work, not gonna lie. Mentioned it in the table. I'm just wondering how we have put it in some short period of time. But for a fetch weather ape history, updated hourly, most important thing, you have mentioned the get method. Example response, super good work. I don't mind that if this data will be copied, because this is how things work. You have mentioned parameter description, super good work by Probable Rath. If I Super good work if you're in the stream right now. Amazing work. Next we have from Emily. Just gonna check it for Emily. Okay, I'm just going to share this stream. Okay, the super good thing I liked about Emily is she has just put it very simply. She has inserted the code mentioned where she had took the code from, features, current weather. You should have at least mentioned something about getting started with. What are the ways you can actually find probably that's a special swag from the MLS team, not your more like swag drop, which is done by Mary. Done, but it depends upon the team. Yep. Okay. So, but basically, I liked about what has Emily has also done. I know it's very difficult to understand it once. You need to go it again and again to understand what has been done in the stream. But it's your time. You can take it. Okay. I'm just gonna check it for Tangia once again. Just let me check. Okay. Tanzia, is it the same? I can clearly see. I guess Tanzia has done a good work. Not gonna lie, but it's just the presentation that is bad because of the Google Docs. I know the systems are bad. It's clearly given name and description, recent weather data, external docs, link is given, servers are given, path, response. The same work, super work. If you, I guess I have mentioned this in stream. If the response is this, description is successful, responsive content, good work, Tanzia there. I've it is 404, description is not found, response. A very important thing which I guess a lot of people has missed, which has been done by Tanzia is this, that she has clearly mentioned that what is the response you will be getting on if you will be putting this security. You have given the API key description, super good work. If we can get actually class for Tanzia, she has also mentioned the email, the URL, super good work. If we can get class for Tanzia and evil probable art, I guess, and all the people who have submitted for this submission, not gonna lie, uh, these are some great submissions, and now I have to think who I have to give the swag. Sheesh. Okay, I'll be doing which I have or which I always do. Let me just check. Okay, let me just put. Mm, okay, just a second, folks. I guess all the things are clear. I've also shared the doc link, but no, I'm not going to do a poll. People have been super good. I'll just see who's. It's more on the like. Then then we have. I'm just going to look at the submissions and the people who have made it the best. Emily was also good. Emily. Then next we have Rohit also did some good work. Harsh was also good. Dilara was good. Arvind was superb. Arvind, Rohit. Then we have. I guess we are already late to this stream. Haripriya was also good. Okay. Shreyash was also good. Krishna was amazing. Tanzia did amazing job, not gonna lie. Love Gupta was also good. Rahul did a great work. Okay. Okay. Let me. Okay. So the winner of our swag drop giveaway is. Okay. If I can share my screen. Uh okay, I can share my screen just a second. Congratulations, Tanzia, for winning the giveaway. Okay, that was a close one between Probable Yarth and Tanzia, but not gonna lie, the two favorite of API documentation of my would be from Probably Yarth, Probable. Earth and Tanzia. Tanzia, I'll just ask you to do one thing. Uh, just a second. Tanzia. Okay. I'll ask you to take a screenshot of this and generate a ticket on Discord. And do mention that you have won it during the API documentation one. Our team at API, that is our team at Global Acri, that is Mary, Siddharth, and a lot of people are working super hard for this and just giving some special swags from Major League Hacking. So make sure you take a screenshot of this. Congratulations once again, and I guess uh, I hope you had a good time. To all the people who have been stick by here, thank you so much. It's been an amazing stream. It was super difficult to actually pick one, so I took a giveaway like runner, and yep, that is how things work. And it was Tanzia who just came out on top. So to all the people by sticking by, thank you so much for sticking to the stream. We are already late. We already have another stream that is coming up. So I'll be taking your time away from folks. Thank you for adding to the stream, and I'll see you. Bye, folks.